Alright, so I've owned both of these transceivers for a while now. The Kenwood I picked up early this past year, 2022, and the Yaesu I've had for a couple years now. And so I've had a chance to put them through the paces and have some fun with them. And I'm going to make this comparison video to kind of show you what I see as some of the things that stand out on both of these rigs. And then also, if you're interested in potentially buying one of these, and maybe some things you should be aware of also. So we have the FTDX10 and the TS-590SG, as you can see, are similar sized. The FTDX10 a little bit wider and a little bit shorter than the Kenwood. The price is similar. The 590 is actually right now at Ham Radio Outlet is $15.99, and the FTDX10 is $13.99. So the Kenwood's actually more expensive. So on the back panels, you can see on the FTDX10 you have one antenna port, whereas on the 590 you have two antenna ports, and also on the bottom right side one receive only port, which I found to be a pretty useful feature, and I kind of wish that the FTDX10 would have had that. Also on the back panel you have on the FTDX10 you have one key jack, and then you'll switch in your menu system. You can select whether that's going to be a straight key or paddles or whatever, whereas on the Kenwood you have two key jacks. You have one for straight key and then one for paddles, which, being a CW operator, I think that's fantastic, because I often like to go back and forth, and this way I don't have to either have a splitter to connect two keys to one transceiver, or I don't have to go into menus and switch them around. I can just go right to it for straight key night or whatever I want to do, or contesting. So I think, in my eyes, that's a big plus for the 590. Let's see, both of the back panels have a USB port, both of them have speaker port and linear/accessory plug ports. The FTDX10 also has additional USB ports for a mouse and a keyboard, which can be pretty useful, especially the mouse feature, so you're not constantly touching this the touchscreen on the front. In addition to that, the FTDX10 also has a video out for an external monitor setup, which the Kenwood does not have. Alright, so back on the front here, what I did is I took some of the most used features on the front panels, and I looked at how easy they were to adjust on both these transceivers. So such things as power output, keyer speed, RF gain and volume, mode, filtering, meters, noise reduction. Those for me personally, those are going to be some of the features that I use the most. So on the 590, it's pretty simple. You have the power button here. It shows you what you're at on wattage. You can adjust it down easily, and you're done. Keyer speed, press key, and same thing. You can also set this multi dial to revert to whatever you want when you press it. So I have it set at keyer speed, so if I press the dial, it automatically brings up keyer speed, and I can adjust it on the fly. Alright, so RF gain and volume are here in the bottom right corner, which I think is great compared to where I'll show you it's at on the FTDX10, and the RF gain is right behind it. Alright, so mode, these buttons here on the left side of the VFO. Filtering is going to be right here. So you're selecting center frequency, we're in CW, but if we get into sideband, you can adjust the lower cutoff and the upper cutoff. Okay. I think it's pretty handy. So back at CW, on the outer ring of this control knob, you can actually adjust the filter width. So 300 or 400 hertz all the way down to 50. And you can watch over here on the meter, it actually shows you how wide you're going here. See? Alright, so that's filtering, and then also noise reduction is up here. There's noise reduction 1, noise reduction 2, and you can actually set them also. So if you go to noise reduction 1, you hold it down, you can select how much reduction you'd like, and the same thing for noise reduction 2. See, select what you like. Noise blanker, obviously. Let's see what else. Metering is up here. So right now I have it set to S meter, and you can also see power meter and SWR. If you hit the meter button, you can see ALC. Alright, so as far as the FTDX10, we'll start back at the beginning on it. Power output is adjusted going to the menu settings. Power output's right here. See, now you're on power output. This multi-knob, this function knob now set for power output. And you can go in and you can change that multi-knob to something else. You want CW speed, you can do that too. Now it's on CW speed. RF gain and volume are here, which I don't really like because I have to reach over. I'm right-handed, so typically I'm going to be reaching across the front of the VFO, which I don't really like doing that because I have bumped that the VFO knob a few times and gone off frequency. But there's the volume and RF gain. Mode is selected up here. This is actually something else I kind of don't like. So mode is up here. You press touchscreen where you're shows what mode you're on, and it brings up the mode selection. You can select all the different options. See how quickly it goes off the screen though. This has been one of the bigger gripes among FTDX10 owners about this menu system is how quickly it times out certain menus. So as long as you're scrolling through, well, let's do that again. As long as you're scrolling through, it's not going to time out. It's not going to time out on you. But as soon as you stop scrolling, it'll time out pretty quickly. You can scroll through with the multi-knob, the outer ring, and the multi. I forget what they call it, but the outer ring of the VFO, or you can actually touch it and go to whatever mode you want. But it does time out quickly. And some people it's not a problem. For me, I don't really like that a lot. But if you use the mouse, which you see I have here, I don't know if you can see that pointer, but you can use the mouse and do that too. And I think it's still going to time out. Yeah. So even if you're moving your mouse around, it's still going to time out on you if you don't make a selection quickly. And some people say, well, you should know what you want to go to when you hit the mode. True, but what if I want to go to, if I want a carrier so that I can get my, dip my plate in my amp, and so I want to go to a data mode or an AM, well, that's not the mode that I'm using every day. So it takes me a second to find which one I want to go to, and then it's timed out. I don't really care for that. Maybe it's not an issue for you. Let's see, so that's mode. Filtering is done a couple different ways. There's the DNR, digital noise reduction. So you can turn it on or off, or if you hold it, you can actually select the noise reduction level that you'd like. And Yaesu, I think, hit it out of the park with the noise reduction, because it's just phenomenal on their newer HF rigs. It really is. Let's see. Meters. Up here, if you touch the meter, you have the different options here. Again, it times out quick. And I don't know why they would even, Yaesu would even time it out at all. Yeah, if I hit the meter, in my eyes, if I press a meter or mode, I'm wanting to change something. So why make it time out? Why not keep it up there until I make a selection, but that's what it does. Same thing for these options here: attenuator, preamp, roofing filter, or AGC. You can press on them, and you'll select what you want. I have the 300 hertz roofing filter option installed in this rig also, and it does help for CW. It's pretty nice. Okay, another thing I do like about this FTDX10 is the ability to do PC keying. So I can take software such as N1MM Plus, and I can set it up to control the DX10, and then also, with the correct settings in place, I can actually have N1MM send the CW through PC to the transceiver. And so that allows me during contesting, which I know some of you probably aren't into contesting, but I am. It allows me to key from the PC, which can be very handy. Now I know it's not maybe the true essence of CW, but I do still have to copy in my head. There is a CW decoder in here, but when you're decoding, you can't see the waterfall really at all. So you can tune around, but you can't see if you're near anybody else. If you can't hear that you're near anyone else, you won't see on the waterfall. See, it is decoding now. A lot of times it's not a great decoder. Maybe I don't have the level adjusted right, but I don't typically use the decoder. I'll decode by ear, and then I'll send with the PC. So that's another thing I like about the DX10. In addition to the digital noise reduction being phenomenal, weak signal. It gets, I think it's number 3 right now in the Sherwood engineering report for receivers. So that's great, but honestly, if you're in the top 20 on the Sherwood website, you're probably doing great on a transceiver anyway. Okay, the TS-590SG. I actually bought this transceiver initially. I bought it with plans to have it replace the FTDX10. Then it came down to time to get rid of the Yaesu, and I couldn't bring myself to do it, so now I have both of these. And in a lot of ways it's redundant. It's overkill to have both of these HF rigs, but they both do something very well that the other one doesn't do so well. And so this here's some of the things that I like about the Kenwood. The receive audio is just beautiful. It's just fantastic Kenwood audio. Whether it's reports I'm getting from other hams on the air, or just the fantastic audio on receive, it's great. It just works great. Let's see, that very fast. I can switch bands very quickly. 17 meters, 40 meters, 10 meters. It's super quick, and it also has, I guess you'd call it band stacking, where if I press this again, it has up to 3 different registers. So like on 10 meters, I could put one at one of the registers at 29.6 and have it in the FM portion. I can have one down by CW, and I can have one up in on sideband if I wanted to. And that what I typically do is put one in CW and one in sideband on each of the bands. And there's 3, so I like that about it. I like the ability to change the power setting or the key speed very quickly right on the front panel without going into menus. I like that a lot. Let's see what else. There are more buttons on here that are programmable that I haven't programmed yet, but I'll probably do that soon. There are 3 CW memories, so you can send messages, CW messages, like my call sign. It's easy to save on here. You can change them whenever you want to. You can change them on the fly. I have the VFO off. The Vox off. But if I turn Vox on, it'll actually be transmitting that. I can change the keyer speed, make it send faster, slower, whatever. It will decode CW. If I turn it on data, it'll actually decode right here. It's not a whole paragraph that you'll see at a time, but you'll see a string of letters go through. I don't use that very often, but it's there. What it doesn't have is it does not have voice memory. Voice memories for transmitting, so I can't use it as a voice keyer, which I can do on the DX10, but I'm not a very big contester on the sideband contests. I do more CW, so that's not as much of an issue for me. But you can get the module that allows for that. Let's see, what else do I like? Well, I like that it has a couple different antenna jacks. That is nice, and then also the receive antenna jack, and then also you can split your received antenna input. You can, well, I guess you call it an input. You can split it. You can tee it off to where some of it goes to a DRV plug on the back, and what that'll do is if I turn that on here, if I hold the meter button down where it says DRV, you'll see a star show up there. When you do that, that splitter is on, and so what it does is it's splitting the incoming signal. And so if I wanted to run a pan adapter or something like that off of, or a second receiver off of that DRV jack, I could do that. And so I could be listening with the same antenna, two different spots, and then it uses a relay and actually turns that T off when you transmit, so it doesn't cause damage to whatever's hooked into it. But that's a neat feature too, so I can set up a pan adapter for it. I don't really do that because I have this with waterfall. I don't really need to do it, but it's an option. That was my plan initially when I was going to get rid of the DX10. I had planned to just run a pan adapter, but then it's like, man, then I'm running a laptop attached to this 590 just to get the performance that the DX10 already provided, so that didn't make any sense to me. So I don't do that much, but it's there as an option. It doesn't have, let's see, it has you can get an oven controlled oscillator, so you can get better stability, frequency stability, but it doesn't come standard on this. So you'd have to actually buy the little oven. I don't know what it's called. The little oven controlled oscillator. And so with that, you'll get better frequency stability. I don't really notice it much. I do some digital modes, and there's maybe a little bit of drift to it, but it's not a huge deal with what I'm doing. But it is an option. They're a little pricey, but they can be had. So I like both of these transceivers, and I don't really plan on ever parting with either one of them. The FTDX10 just seems more fragile and less ruggedly built. I've actually had to send it back to Yaesu for repair. Something happened and it fried the USB port, so I wasn't able to hook up a PC to it at all. To do any digital modes or cat control or anything. I could use the RS-232, but I could not use the USB port. So I had to send it back to them, and they fixed that. They put a brand new main board in it that fixed that. But between that and the giant screen, and there's also an issue with the external monitor jack on the back. If you use the there's a lot of documentation on it at this point, but if you use the wrong type of monitor, then you can actually fry this small fuse in the transceiver, and then you won't have external monitor option anymore. You'll have to send it back to Yaesu for repair. So hopefully the newer DX10s coming out have that fixed or resolved, but I know I've talked to several people that have had that happen to them, and it's unfortunate, because shipping isn't cheap to California from most places in the U.S. Let's see, the TS-590 is just built like a tank. It's just a solid radio. You know, everything about it is just seems quality built, and maybe that's just my opinion. Well, it is my opinion, but but that's what I've noticed. And in the manual itself, it says that it's been tested at 100% power output, straight key down for 2 hours. And so, which is just absurd to me that it would survive that, but it did. And so I still don't run digital modes at 100%, at 100 watts on the 590 or on the DX10, but I'll run it at 60 watts, and I'll occasionally hear the fan turn on a higher speed, just briefly, but it's very quiet anyway. But yeah, it just keeps going. It just works. It just works every time. The DX10 is also fantastic, but I don't know. With a couple issues I've heard about, with the one issue I've had, I kind of wonder, if it's going to make it the long haul. But we'll see what happens. They're both great. I like them both. And that's it. That's my comparison. I'm not doing an audio comparison today. Maybe in a future video. That's just comparing some of the features of each of the rigs. And thanks for watching.